Hello and welcome back to Reddit League. We're in week 1 of season 6 and we're going to be starting again with our match casts, and unlike in all of the previous seasons, it won't just be me and Tsutomo. We'll still do some casts together occasionally, but we'll hopefully get a few more people to do some with us. And today is the first iteration of that, where I'm joined by Pastetli. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad I can be here, and I'm glad I can help out wherever I can and whenever I can. It should be fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice. And yeah, today for our first video and for our first week, we are in Finland. Now, Finland, we are going to be playing the intersection guesser map from Paste Caché, our very own third division player. And it has a lot of locations, 100,000 plus, so there shouldn't be any repeats, hopefully. And yes, just so far 600 plays around that at the time that Satomo made that graphic, at least, with an average score of 18,000. And I think most people watching should be relatively familiar with intersection guesser maps at this point. Basically, it's an automatically generated map that only has locations at intersections. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there is also an intersection in the Google map, because it uses a different map to generate it. But in general, you can probably expect to be at some sort of intersection. Yeah, Pastelli, what do you think about Finland to start us off in this season?
I mean, it's not the easiest and not the hardest of countries. I think it's about average, I would say, just because the landscape is not at all guessable, for me at least. Maybe you can get lucky and get a northern round, which is kind of guessable, but despite that, it's pretty much impossible to get a clue wherever in the country you are, based on landscape. But it has some really nice road numbering systems. You can even find the 4-digit road numbers. So if you manage to find one of those, you are pretty much able to pinpoint your location for sure. But if not, yeah, you probably are going to be on the other side of the country.
Yeah, thinking similar things about Finland. As you said, landscape-wise, very, very difficult. You could probably, if you spend a lot of time, be able to tell apart certain regions from each other. But overall, if you only play like 20, 30 games, you're not going to be capable of doing that. As you said, road numbers, very nice. Unless one thing that I've pretty much only seen in Finland, and no other country really does that, is that you can just sometimes find those signs where you got like 8, 9 different road numbers on one sign, and they're all like, those 9 roads are all that way. And it can be quite difficult to figure out where the hell you are in relation to all of those roads. But at least you'll you'll not suffer from a lack of information in that case. But yeah, as you said, if you do not find any useful information, you're probably going to be relying on a bit of luck or a good intuition to make up for it. I did, while practicing and playing Finland, notice that some regions share similar town name endings, for example. Probably not unique to those regions. You can probably find most town endings in multiple places, but there are certain regions where some appear more often than others. So you can potentially, if you see like at least 1 or 2 town names, you can scroll through the map and maybe you find an area where there's a lot of town names that end in a similar name, and maybe you get lucky, or you don't. Anyway, for our first game this week, we're going to be watching Mr. Blue against Plouky, both of whom have been in Reddit League for quite a while. Mr. Blue has been here all the way back from season 2, with a semi-final finish in season 3 being his best achievement, and Plouky sharing that best achievement, also entering the semi-final last season, has been here since season 4. What do you think about those two? Any favorite for this game?
Both are pretty strong, I gotta say. I think it's gonna be an equal match. I know Mr. Blue at his prime can probably beat Plouky, but Plouky has been grinding hard. I know that for a fact because last season I think he did quite well. So it's gonna be a close match. That's for sure. And I gotta give my sympathy points to my good friend Mr. Blue. So yeah, I think I'm gonna root for him.
Yeah, definitely a top game to start us off with. With quite a few of the more seasoned players who had semi and final appearances gone this season. I think those two are probably the ones with the most accolades and just with the best results in the past out of the ones that are still left. So maybe even already a matchup that could decide, some things regarding the playoff contention. Yeah, I agree. They're both very strong players. Mr. Blue did say at the start of the season that he might be practicing a bit less this season, just in general, but Finland is probably not a country where that is going to have a massive influence. So, yeah, very exciting match. And with that, let's get into round number one. We see Mr. Blue's internet slightly slower, takes a little bit longer to load. Looks like they're in a town. A lot of names there, whatever they are.
Yeah, the road name, by the way, was bilingual, so we are going to be in the southwestern part of Finland. I think Turku is a great guess as a hedge, I think.
There's also already a sign for Plouky there, where you could see a little bit of what I mentioned before, where you just got 3-4 different road numbers on the signs. But that white one is probably the one that gives you the area the easiest, with the 222. And he's going to look at the map and zoom into it.
Probably a smart idea to look for the white road numbers because they're shorter and more, they're still very findable. So
Yeah,
that's going to give you the better clue, I guess.
Yeah, he's already got it there. And yeah, generally you
Oh, yeah.
you probably want to look for like the big ones first, just as a general estimation if you have no clue where like 200s are, because the E roads, the European roads, are just very easy to find. But the specific road you want to be looking for is the white one for sure. As Mr. Blue has also found that puts both of them not quite at the pinpointing stage for Mr. Blue yet, but with a minute and 30 left, it does look like a pretty doable round for the two of them.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Plouky got it at this point.
Yep.
And he's just guessing and got the 5K with 2 meters. Quite a nice result there for sure. Mr. Blue on the other side is still not sure where he's exactly, but he got the area, so it's only gonna take, I don't know, 30 seconds until he'll probably get his area narrowed down and it's in the pinpointing stage as well. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yep, there it is. Yeah, Finland as well is actually a pretty big country, so you don't actually lose too many points by being slightly off. Just for future rounds, I mean, he's going to manage to do that relatively easily, I'd hope. But for future reference, if someone's like a kilometer off, that probably doesn't cost them the draw range. So you could still get a draw even if you're slightly off in one of the rounds, which is not always the case with some of the countries we're playing. And there we go. Perfect score for Mr. Blue as well. So we go into round two with, 5,000 points each. But yeah, not the most difficult round. Road numbers very close to the start. I suppose if, one of them had gone the other way, who knows, maybe there's not that much information the other way. But I generally recommend people in a round like this to try both ways, at least for a little bit anyway. So yeah, as long as they're not tunnel visioned on one direction, probably always going to find that round. All right.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yep. Then let's look at whether round two can make a little bit of a difference now. And it looks a little bit less urban. Still a few small houses around, but it's going to be a little bit more interesting, perhaps. Oh, immediately some signs again. Does that mention any white road numbers? Yes, the 343.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But also an airport, which might help in the later pinpointing stage when we get to it.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's also a leg, and that can be helpful.
Oh, there's a cool fighter jet that was shortly visible on Plouky's screen, and he's also got multiple cities in different directions. I think Mr. Blue went the opposite way, but he's now also found a great sign towards Yemza and I can't quite read the other one, Lenki Poya or something like that. And
Yeah.
the blue 4-digit road numbers as well as a white road number, and he's found Yemze. There we go.
Nice. He probably recognized the town name. I wouldn't have, but yeah, certainly nice to know them. I really can't memorize them because they all sound so weird. Finnish language is still a mystery to me how it got so bad, you know. But yeah, also but Plouky seems to struggle a bit more. He has not quite found the region yet.
Yeah, which is interesting because he does have like at least the 343, which is the road number I think that Mr. Blue just can't quite make out there. Well, now Plouky has at least one of the towns he's seen as well, so he should be closing in on it relatively shortly. Still a minute to go for both of them, so shouldn't be too much of a problem, I'd hope. Mr. Blue, I
Yeah. Oh,
think
there's an
is
airport.
yeah, Mr. Blue, I think is pretty much there.
Pinpointing. Just scanning for the road name there,
Yep, there it is.
and there we go. Plouky
And
still
yeah,
has a couple seconds left,
and
and
he's got it
he's
too.
still not sure. Oh yeah, and there we go.
Yeah, very close between the two of them, but again, shouldn't be too much of a difference. Yeah, Plouky is in the right spot. There we go. Nice. Another 5k for both of them, which, yeah, I mean, we could expect to see like a 25k both sides. It's possible. I already said in the previous show that I'm not really expecting too many 25ks this season with some of the maps we're playing, but that would be quite the surprise if we get two in the first game of the season. But Finland is well, it's got a few surprises in store for sure, and well, we can see if we find one in the next round. That we will start now.
Typically Finnish architecture and also these trees. In a non-moving round, I would definitely guess Finland here, but since it's moving, it's a bit harder, I guess. We need to figure out exactly where we are, and oh, there is something for Mr. Blue. I'm not quite sure what it is that he found.
It's just something written on
Yeah,
there. From my knowledge,
Vasantia probably.
yeah, just the street name Vasa, and Tia is just
Mm.
generic like street in Finnish. Yeah, it's a street name, and there's some better signs for Plouky towards Vasa and Tampere on the 3 and the E12, which might be the same road, might not be. I think they are in this scenario.
Yeah, a bigger road here. So yeah, this should be very findable. I'm not sure why Mr. Blue is looking in Vasa downtown, because this doesn't really look like Vasa downtown.
Yeah, he's looking more at the suburbs now. He's assuming that with the street name that he is somewhere near Vasa. And that's
Yeah.
probably why he's just trying to see quickly if he can spot the street name somewhere before he, well, continues now and tries to see if he can maybe find something else. Oh, and there's some distances for Plouky. Those are very, very nice to have. And we also saw on there that Vasa is 220 kilometers away, so Mr. Blue could be looking for a long time if he's trying to find that street name there.
Yeah, that was probably bait, which might cost him much if he doesn't figure out many points. If he doesn't figure out that he is not indeed close to Vasa itself.
Yep, that certainly could cost someone a lot of points. um, But Plouky's pretty much there. He's found the street name now, and just down to the pinpointing stage. Mr. Blue still looking. He's found a great sign there for the 65, which he might see is not near Vasa if he tries to look for it.
Yeah.
Yep, there
Nice
it
and
is.
Tampere, and there we go.
Yep.
A bit closer now. Let's see if we can figure out exactly where he is in the last 20 seconds left. Um, I think Plouky has it at this point. I'm not sure if he's actually at this exact intersection because these small, tiny roads probably, or maybe, or sometimes don't show up. It's a gamble. And also, it's a pretty long straight road with not many curves, so pinpointing is not easy for sure.
Yeah, and slightly off for both of them, actually. Mr. Blue, 2 kilometers, and Plouky just 104 meters off, which is unfortunate that he couldn't quite get there. Puts both of them off of the perfect game, but at least they're both still within draw range, so at least in that sense, everything is still possible. But, yep, no perfect games today as we go into round number 4. And that's a bit more rural, at least landscape-wise. It looks less like a suburb of something and more like it's, well, somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
But these intersections are usually very helpful because they have, if you continue a bit, they on the main road, you're probably going to find the road number, but neither of them does that. Probably because they recognize the town, which is even better.
Yeah, at least, yeah, there we go. Mr. Blue has it too.
Yeah, fair enough. That's quite a big city, and it's only 7 kilometers away, so you probably don't need the road number.
Yeah, and looks like Plouky's already pinpointing. I just realized, I'm thinking that round, I spent like 2 minutes before I got to a sign like that, so I must have, gone the wrong direction.
Unfortunate. Yeah, as we can see here, we have no intersection on intersection GeoGuessr, which is, or do we? Wait a second, am I blind?
There is
Yeah,
an
okay.
intersection in quotation marks. I don't know if it shows
driveway,
up on the
probably.
map.
Mm.
And Mr. Blue has Hayu as well, so he knows he's somewhere between the two as Plouky gets his perfect score there. But he's struggling a bit to find where exactly he could be. I'm not entirely sure what he's looking for.
Yeah, me neither.
Probably
Maybe
that
street
small
names, I don't
town,
know.
maybe the street names. Yeah, I could be right. Finland also likes blurring stuff a lot. He does have the right
Yeah.
road and there's the side road, so yeah, it should also not be a
Nice.
problem for him.
Yeah, pinpointing in 1 minute should be enough for sure. For someone like Mr. Blue with his experience.
He's looking the wrong
If
direction.
he-
Though. Ah, there we go.
If he's looking in the right direction, though.
Yeah, and even worst case scenario, if he doesn't find it, though, actually, interestingly enough, with how many points he lost in the previous round, he's now, I think, 77 points behind Plouky, which means that just another 24 points dropped would cost him or would put him out of draw range. So I don't know how far he can allow himself to be away, but I think currently he might be about 50, 60, 70 meters away, maybe. I think that's still close enough. I don't know
Not sure
why
what
he's
thinking about now.
Yes, same. He should know roughly how much or how far he traveled to the intersection. It should be further than he's put his pin at now. And yeah, it is. But it only costs him 3 points, yeah. But
that is only half as bad.
yeah, we can only hope for him that that doesn't make a difference later, because that was, I'd even go so far as to say that was an easy pinpoint with how much time he had, and him just missing that could be costly. Again, he's now 80 points behind, so he can drop another 20 points in the last round, but no more than that, as we'll get into it right now.
A long straight road. As it is a repeat for me from practice, I think I knew pretty quickly how where we are here when I played the seat. But yeah, I recognized I think the road number and the town name I got to eventually.
Yeah, so much for no repeats, huh? You'd think 100,000
Yeah.
locations is enough, but apparently not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exact repeat. It was
Yeah.
somewhere on this road, a couple meters, a couple hundred meters down, probably. Um,
Mm,
yeah, it's bound to happen on even 100,000 location map, where probably most roads have a couple locations.
yeah.
That's the sign I was talking about.
Mm, nice road number there that you can probably find. Might be relatively long, and 17 kilometers in Finland is always a kind of the region where you're like, that might be findable on the map, but it's not guaranteed that it is. So you could be spending a lot of time looking for something that you'd have to zoom in super far, and definitely the sign that Plouky just found, which he's immediately covered with his map, is a lot more guaranteed to bring you results with an actual 3-digit road number.
But Mr. Blue actually found the road, because he has found a couple of road names there, and yeah, he realized that the 2 continues after Pori, which is might not be that obvious for some people.
Yeah,
Um,
I have to zoom in a bit to see that.
so yeah, that's definitely not an easy location if you didn't have it before. um,
I think Plouky just scrolled over it. He is, yep,
yeah, he
scrolled over it
might have,
again.
yeah.
It's a pretty difficult round to pinpoint, though, because as far as I remember, there isn't a street name at your starting location. So you have to work a
Mm,
bit with, street names further north and south, and if you can find some of
es-
those.
estimate a bit where you might be in relation to those.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, you can see
yeah,
there,
that
no.
doesn't seem like, yeah, that there's a street name.
Yeah. There seems to be a bus stop, I think, just south of the starting location, but it also seems like there's bus stops every 100 meters on that road. I don't know why, but
For whatever reason, yeah. Um,
apparently,
but yeah,
yeah.
Mr. Blue seems to have it, I think. I'm not sure actually.
It's hard to tell. Plouky certainly does, and Mr. Blue drops
Oh,
21 points. Wow. And you can see the
that's
final
rough.
scores here. That's
That's rough.
24,996 for Plouky and 24,895 for Mr. Blue. And now he should really be kicking himself for round 4 because, that round just now, I mean, that's a bit unlucky, a bit unfortunate. He can't really do much about that. And the round near Tampere, again, similar things, a bit unlucky. Not much to be done about that. But the round 4, that definitely was doable with the time he had left, and it now costs him at least 1 point. It might cost him another if we look at how many points are required for the top 50% of the division. But yeah, that's a bit of an unfortunate start.
Definitely, yeah. It could have been a draw for sure. But I think the lack of practice maybe, and also the yeah, lack of experience in Finland altogether, or maybe also the lack of playing in the last couple of weeks. I know he's been quite busy with work and stuff, so he didn't play much. Maybe that's also another reason why he got unlucky with his his game, and lost by such a small margin.
Yeah, that can, not playing for a few days can definitely play into being a bit rusty, perhaps, taking just a little bit longer with the pinpointing. And yeah, it seems like that has cost him this week. But yeah, that was our first game of season 6. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. There'll be plenty more to come, as well as, of course, as always, the shows on the weekend. Yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye bye.